Hi everyone, it's Tony Tonkin here from the Child Protection Party. Glad that you could be with us tonight to talk to you about things that relate to kids. So the title tonight is Kids' Lives Matter. A very topical theme in that we talk about every other body's lives matter, but tonight it's actually kids' lives that matter, and how it is that we as a political party can support you around understanding and developing further understandings around why kids' lives are important. And to welcome us on board, of course, tonight we will have none other than Avery Hilditch, and I'll welcome him in just a minute, and he's got some updates for us as well. But in the meantime, welcome to CPP TV. So welcome everybody again to Child Protection Party and our little show, which we called CPP TV, which is kind of a fun thing for us to run every couple of days. And thank God we only do it every couple of days. But it's been very busy for us lately, Avery. And how are you, mate? Good to see you.
I'm good to see you too, Tony. I'm pretty tired with all the work I've been doing, mainly this week looking after two sick children. Monday, Wednesday, and half of today, and I've also then when I get home, I'm straight back onto the this thing about getting declarations of support for the party in South Australia. And
I know, Avery, that this is an exciting activity of yours. Something every year you look forward to. It's like Christmas for you, isn't it?
It is. It's enthralling work.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to describe it.
Well, I guess someone has to do it, and may it be blessed that it's you, because I don't think anybody else could do it with the same enthusiasm and dedication as you do. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So how is after all that crap? How do we sit with it? Like at the moment, don't have to tell the numbers specifically, but what are we requesting from people?
We are asking people who live in South Australia who are members of the Child Protection Party to sign a pre-filled declaration that I am emailing out. I've emailed 293 so far and had 68 of them have come back. That declaration, as I said, you can sign it online. All you've got to do is click a link that's in the email that you'll get. The email, it's headed Tony Tonkin requests your signature on, then it'll be followed by the member's name.
Yep.
They click on that link, scroll to where they'll see a thing that says click to sign here. They tap on that. They can just type their name in, F.A. Hilditch or A.P. Tonkin, whatever it happens to be. They can there's a tab that they can click on where they can actually use a stylus or their finger to sign it. And then they just click apply, and then if they're on a desktop or a laptop or a tablet, they'll see a button that says click to submit on the bottom of the screen. If they're on a phone, they'll see a button at the top of the screen that says tap to submit or tap to sign.
So either way, they don't have to print anything, do they? So
they don't. Nothing to print, nothing to download, nothing to print. No need to do anything like that. Just literally type. You can type your name, hit apply, hit the click to sign button, and it's done. A copy will be sent to that person, and a copy sent to us. And one other thing on that: if you live in South Australia and you're not a member of the Child Protection Party, you can sometime between now and say the 25th of September apply to join. It'll cost you a minimum of $12 per year. It starts at $12 per year. You can click to sign. I can verify your enrollment, and I will send you a declaration form. And the more of those that we can get, the better. We need 200 minimum in that time.
And I think Deb Doherty has typed in to say that she hasn't got one yet, Avery. So
no, I haven't got down to her name yet.
Oh, right. Okay, so you haven't been forgotten, Deb. We just haven't finished them all yet. But when we do, and if you haven't got one, which will be, next week, I guess? You'd have them all finished by I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine so. I've got about another 150 I can send out.
All right.
Um, Deb Howard has said that she's still a member. It depends where you live, Deb, whether we can. If you're not in South Australia, we can't use your membership.
No, it's only this
Uh,
does only refer to South Australians,
yeah,
and I just want to say too, while we're here, that we were greeted with the normal enthusiasm from Jevon, and
yeah,
just want to let you know, Jevon, you're the only person that says that to us, so we really appreciate it.
yeah, yeah. We
No
say it
one,
to each other, but
yeah, no,
um,
no one else says
I
it
got
to us.
no, I got something else I want to say there about membership.
Yep.
I've been strongly just there, strongly encouraging people in South Australia to join. But we need members in every state and territory, so it doesn't matter where you live. I'll put the link in here in the comments there shortly, or you can click on the sign up button at the top of the CPP page, and it'll take you to a form that you fill in. And as I said, the starting cost is $12 per year. Everybody's welcome to join. If you're a member and your partner isn't, why not? Get them to sign up. If you're a member and you've got an adult child living at home with you, are they a member? And if not, why not? Get them to sign up.
Yep. And I think one of the things, Ari, that we need to be doing more of is is working out. Well, actually hearing from people about how it is that the CPP can best reflect their views, and
Yeah,
what is it that we could do that could better enhance the policies that we have. And look, I strongly suggest that people go to the CPP webpage to have a look at some of the policies that we've drawn up to this point, and just have a look at what you think might need to be added to that, and make a suggestion to us. I mean, we're only as good as the people who support us, and
absolutely.
if we don't make it into Parliament, that's not from the lack of effort from people like you or I or any of the people on our board, is it? Because we all work very
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, that's
It's
very true.
it's your effort. Don't complain to us if things don't turn out as we would like them, because we've done all that we can to make things happen. But if you're not gonna support us, then clearly there's not a political party on the face of this earth that's been successful without the support of thousands and thousands of people. And
Yeah,
sometimes that has to be 20, 30, 40,000 people in order to just get someone in power that can, or in Parliament, that can put forward some ideas that are going to change the system that we all dislike so much. So join us. I guess that's all I'm saying at the end of the
yeah,
day. I guess the thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, Avery, was that this notion that that kids, that sometimes I think we forget how important children are, and that that I don't know if I said that earlier this week, or I sound like I'm repeating myself because I often say things over and over again and forget when I said them. But there comes a time when we forget what life was like for us as kids too sometimes, and how. Yep, go on.
my screen is Facebook on my PC is frozen. It seems to have stopped. I don't know whether it's going out. You should be able to check if there's
Yeah,
any new comments or.
no, it's still okay on my screen,
Okay,
mate.
okay.
So your computer, and I can still see you via the software. So
Oh,
clearly that's
that's
all
fine.
working. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
So we know the technology is working at this end. It's just not at Avery's end, I guess, to some extent. But it might unfreeze itself shortly, Avery, because I can still see you. So I guess what I'm saying is that we need to take stock of what it meant to be kids, and how we ourselves, when we were growing up, the sorts of things that we would like to have had changed for us that would have been helpful as we entered into adulthood, and how, as we were growing up, how those things impacted the choices that we made later on as kids. So I think that this is why kids' lives are vital. I'm getting some feedback, Avery, so I don't know if it's coming from yours or not. But the reality is that kids' lives are critical. Avery, you know when you became interested in the Child Protection Party? Yep, yep. And that was because one particular person, I believe, at that particular point in your life, even though you didn't know that person, that meant a lot
Yep,
to you, didn't it?
it did. I heard the story of a young girl called Ebony Napier Tucker who'd been murdered by her father. Her mother knew what the father was doing to the kid. Um, when she'd been lying in her crib dead when the parents decided to call the police. When the police turned up, as soon as the door was open, they could smell the decomposition. There was a court case. The father was convicted of manslaughter. He said he didn't realize that punching her and kicking her so hard that he caused 79 fractures in her ribs
Gee,
and multiple other fractures in her poor little body. He didn't realize that might do her any damage, and they accepted a plea of manslaughter. Mother got off scot-free. She knew what he was doing, but never made any effort to stop it. And the thing that really got my goat, that really pissed me off, was that this happened in Adelaide. The father had convictions in New South Wales for child abuse, and there was the kid had been taken to the hospital, to the Royal Adelaide, the Women's and Children's Hospital, when she was about 5 weeks old with a fractured femur, and the nurses called the I think family's SA at the time, and the family's SA person interviewed Bradley Napier Tucker and his wife. They said that Bradley said I was just carrying Ebony from her bedroom, and I tripped and landed on top of her, and I heard her femur crack. And the thing is, at that age, the bones are still soft. You'd never hear it crack, And he was just lying. But the family's SA agent, they checked with their office. Yeah, no convictions for no reports or anything about Bradley Napier Tucker to them. So they let them take the kid home. And about 3.5 months later, she was dead. It turned out that he had 2 convictions in New South Wales, and that the family's SA had no way of checking on the spot if he had any convictions. I spoke with my brother Mark, who at the time was a police officer, about this. How would you find out this information? And he said, we'd send them an email or a fax, and they would send us back, maybe a couple of days later, the results. He said, if I wanted to know if you had any driving offences in New South Wales, he said, I can get that on my phone, but information like that I can't. And I thought, it's 2016. How the hell is there not an app available on your mobile phone that you can just type in the details and say, tell me about Bradley Napier Tucker or whoever. Has he got any convictions for child abuse anywhere in this country? And if that had happened on the day that the first time she was taken into the hospital, Ebony could well be alive today.
yeah, and I guess I think one of the sad things for me, Avery, is that often we don't respond to the depth of despair that kids are in until we hear stories like that, or until such time as we see or hear that a child has died as a result of the brutality of a parent or somebody else.
Yeah.
And then we have often at government's departments, like the Chloe Valentine case, where we know that the department were notified of the potential damage that this parent would do to this child, and lo and behold, look what happened. The child lost her life, and those people within the department got promoted. Some of them.
Yeah.
So there's this. So and on both, and this is the terrible thing, I think, where we need to be more conscious about how kids' lives do matter, because, if you've got a department, Avery, that doesn't tend to pay the attention that they should to what's happening within families, then and they don't have the skills or whatever it takes to be able to make appropriate assessments, or they just don't care, then we're going to have more kids that will die, and consequently we'll have more kids taken away. And this is the truth: we'll have more kids taken away from their families when they could have stayed. And I know that often it seems to me that it's almost these contradicting two notions. Like on one hand, we get distressed, of course, when we hear that a child's died, and on the other hand, I get distressed when I hear that children are being removed from parents when they shouldn't be. I found myself the other day, mate, sitting in a meeting saying to the social workers, you're removing more kids today than you ever have, right? And we're looking at the long-term damage that's done to children when they're in continual foster care. I was in one of these meetings. I was also with a young man who was in foster care himself when he was growing up, from the age of 2, I think he said, and he was in 43 homes. Now tell me, why didn't his life matter? Why didn't the department think and care enough for him to ensure that if he had to be from his parents, which he had to be, they couldn't stay with him? Why in that case did he have that many placements? Don't you know what I mean? Like, it's just I
couldn't even begin to suggest an answer to that.
And I said to him, look, how many of those people that you lived with at that time you remember as being respectful to you and treated you in a way that you thought was appropriate? He said 1, and that was for 5 years. So 5 of those 15 years or whatever it was that he was in foster care, he remembers 1 family that treated him with respect. The others just abused the daylights out of him. Now, why doesn't that kid's life matter? When we're looking at a system that is responsible for, it's saying I'm responsible because we believe that whoever the parent is not responsible. So consequently, we're more responsible than you. So we care about this kid's life. Well, if you care about the kid's life, you wouldn't have them rotating in and out of care centres, or through foster homes and residential care. You wouldn't have this kid turning out being a great candidate for adult prison, or some form of criminality, or having lousy relationships. Why aren't we focusing on developing kids that are going to be contributing to societies in ways which are positive? Why is it that we're turning out so many kids, because we don't care enough about them, because their lives just don't matter? At the end of the day, their lives don't matter. I was with a client recently, and it was a meeting with the department, and they said they were telling the client that that parent, I'm not going to go into whether this is right or wrong, but the reality was that the department had decided that parent should never see their children again, basically. Now I know who this client is. I don't see this client as necessarily a threat to these children at all, but the department says that the children are experiencing some sort of trauma when they meet with the parent. Right? Now, I asked for some information that verified that. So make your system transparent. If you're going to make accusations against parents, then for God's sake, let us know the veracity and the reasons why and how you've come to the conclusion that you have in relation to those parents. Let us know. Well, they can't, and they won't. They haven't. I said, where's the documentation? Who made the decision? Well, we as a group, we collectively made this decision or whatever, And part of the reason is because the client can just be a pain in the ass, because he's insistent that, his rights be met along the way, and that, he should be having access to the kids. They cut the access off for 6 months while they did this assessment. Now, I ask, why, if these kids' lives matter, and the department's saying that they do, hence the reason why they've chosen for this child never probably never to have access to the parent again. You know, when that child, none of these social workers are going to be there when these kids turn 18 and leave care. I can guarantee you, none of them. And they won't be looking back at this child and say, oh, how did you feel about the idea that, we separated from your mum and dad and that we chose for you never to meet with them again? Is that the story they're going to be told? The bizarre thing is, Avery, that they're told that the parents often have to tell the kids the reasons why they're in care. Who's going to tell? Is it the department? If the same rule applies to the parents, which member of the department is going to tell these kids that they are not allowed to see their parent because when they were 2 or 3, they acted in a way that the social worker or psychologist determined meant that they were traumatised by their parent?
11 or something like that. Their parents may well have changed, and all the things that there may have been good reasons why it was taken, why the child was taken when they were 2 or 3, and now the parents have completely changed their behaviours, and there'd be no reason why that child shouldn't be back with that parent, and yet you've still got to tell them no, you can't see them.
Yep, that's spot on. That's spot on. And they have, so I think the other interesting thing here is that they'll say the kids will be able to hear from you because so imagine this: if you're a parent and you're told that for whatever reason the kids can no longer see you, right? And then, how are you feeling right there and then? Oh, you're feeling distressed. This bloke that I was working with was beside himself. He was so bloody angry, and rightfully so, and distressed to the max. And then they say, okay, but you can send them photographs, or you can write them letters. Well, number one, the kids aren't old enough to read, but and who's going to give them the letters, and who's going to give them the photographs?
For a hug.
No, not at all. Not at all. And if they're appropriately, and why wouldn't you work with the parent? Look, whatever the problem is, okay, I accept that there are times when kids have been traumatised by the behaviour of their parents. I get that. I understand it. Right. But is it helpful for the kid to always be thinking about their parent in that singular context? Like if a kid's traumatised, right, and the parent, isn't it better for a child to get to know that their parent has changed, that is not the person they always are? So why wouldn't you work with a parent to help that parent so that they can become better parents to these children, even if it's an irregular access visit, like once a month? Isn't that better than no access at all?
Yeah.
When we're thinking, when I'm thinking about Kids Lives Matter, I'm thinking, why do the department why do they believe this bullshit about the fact that kids are necessarily traumatised forever as a result of the way they were raised, right? I'm not disputing that there is no trauma, don't get me wrong. But this crap that the parents will not change, or that the department in reality is unwilling to work with the parents so they will change. They're not interested. They abdicate. The department bloody well abdicates their total responsibility around working with parents and caring for kids when they get to that point. And it just makes me angry.
Yeah, I can hear that.
As you've probably noticed.
And I completely agree with that. The parents, they don't matter to the child protection departments. That's how it appears to me. The child protection departments, what matters to them is them saying, "Oh, we're doing all the right thing and we care," when they don't appear to care at all.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So why is it why is it that why is it so difficult to understand that there are things that the department does that are damaging to children, and then fix them. And Avery, that's on both sides of the spectrum. So that's on that side that says, that indicates that the child, that we should have intervened earlier, right, and saved the kid. It's also on the other side. You know, we're not intervening enough to build a relationship with the child and the family to make their life more valuable, right? We do not think, like when a kid's 18 and they can access their records, which many do, many are horrified to see some of the things that are written about them by and about their parents by social workers. Horrified. The trauma that they create, you know, they reinvent, they recreate this trauma when kids come to have a look at the documentation that's been written about them when they were much younger, you know.
Yeah. Well, that can't be good for them at all. I mean, it's, being taken away in the first place, especially if it's a GOM 18, you know, never seeing your parents for 10 years or something like that, or rarely seeing them, whatever the case may be, and then suddenly learning this is why it was done, re-traumatize that person.
Yeah. I've been working on, as you know, and as everybody knows, I've been working in this area for a long time. I like, you know, I had a client that I worked with really early in the piece about 12 years ago. And this kid now is 14. I still keep in contact with the mum. And the department, by placing this child in so I've got evidence. The department placing this child in the care arrangement that they did, given who the mother was more damaging for the child than her staying with the mum. Jesus. There's no doubt in my mind the child is now with the mother. But there is no doubt in my mind that was a stupid decision. And the social worker who did that, who's no longer working for them, fortunately, was a disgrace, was an absolute disgrace. And there are heaps of social workers out there that do the really right things. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying. When I say that, people say, you know, oh, Tony, you think that all social workers are crap. I don't. I myself, being a social worker, don't believe that. But is that your phone or mine?
That's
your landline, I think. So I think that there's a lot of social workers out there though that don't understand the full picture, that have just got no concept of what any of that means, and therefore, because they don't know, they don't care, then for them, kids' lives don't really matter. You know, rather than having a look over at that moment in time where, you know, there needs to be some form of intervention, you know, social workers need to look further down the track and work out what it is that's going to happen for this child over time. And they need to ask themselves, you know, if I haven't got a steady, consistent placement for this child, what's the outcome going to be? Is it going to be better than staying with the parent and working with the parent? So, okay, no problems, mate. Do you want me to turn you off, or are you coming back? Okay. So I think if this, look, JJ, you sent us a message, which I brought up on my other screen, but it's a news item, I think, in addition to selling victims of. So I won't open that up and try and read it and set it up on this program now. So, but I will have a look at it later. I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit more about that. What's that? And if there's any other messages here. So Angel says, I can testify absolutely how awful to be torn from my mother. Don't care what you say about her. She loved me and struggled with zero help. And it's interesting, Angel, that you mentioned that, because to a large extent, okay, mate, to a large extent, what parents work. I think there are a lot of parents who work really hard to maintain the contact, even when they're when their kids are on a long-term order. But I understand that it's difficult. You know, to go. What's it like? Think about this. You get to see your kids once an hour, every 4 weeks. You don't see them necessarily. So they take holidays, they go off with the foster parents or whatever, they do other things. So there are times when you don't get to see your kids. So you're lucky if you see your kids 10 times a year, right? Now, what does that do to a parent? It causes them to feel hopeless and helpless about their situation. Is that encouraging them to change in ways that are going to be helpful to their kids later on? No, it isn't. You know, maybe the department should think about rewarding parents by increasing the amount of access. Why in the hell would you cut down access to a parent to a point whereby it's almost insignificant? Why would you do that? So there was this case I was talking about this week where they've cut it out altogether, but there are all these other cases where they do it and they make sure that the parent only sees the child for a very short period of time. How is that helpful? We know that the best connection that a parent can have is with, or a child can have, is with his parents. So do kids matter to the department? On the whole, no. Do they say that they do? Yes. Do they say that they're working in the best interest of the child? Yes, they say that. But in reality, the practice is completely different. It's a con job. We're all being made to believe that this is what they're supposed to do. And the reason why we're made to believe this is that so many people's jobs depend upon it. And there's a certain thinking, I think, in the community that, you know, somehow we've got to go out there and save all these children from all these terrible people that have low socio-economic jobs, or they're not working at all, or they've got drug and alcohol or mental health issues, or there's domestic violence. Somewhere on the line, someone's thinking these people need to be saved because we're better than them. And that is crap, and it's just inappropriate. So there's my rave, Avery.
Yeah, rave over. I've been looking at the comments while we've been talking there. We've got somebody, there's two particular ones I want to raise. We've got somebody called Mo Ya, who's watching us from Myanmar, formerly known as Burma.
Oh, right.
And Mo says, sometimes the foster care system is so harmful for the children. Our organisation helped 2 foster girls raped by the foster father, who is a pastor.
Yep.
And I'm not so much commenting on the foster, Mo's organisation. I don't know what that organisation is or what exactly they do. But what do you think about the foster care system being so harmful for children?
Well, I think the like all systems are harmful. Yeah. There isn't one system out there. What we have to do, and what we're trying to do as a party, is improve systems. They're all dysfunctional. Systems are like families. You know, there are good families, there are bad families. There are families that do okay, there are some that do better than others. But on the whole, they're crappy. NGOs, government organisations, on the whole, are crappy. They really are. I used to argue when I worked for Anglicare years ago, they'll love this, but when I worked for Anglicare years ago, I said to them, if they made a product, if they made a widget, by the time it got to the end of the production line, it would fall apart because there was no one checking it out as it went along the production line, you know, to find out what happened at the end. You know, that's the best description I can give of child protection. No one looks to the end. Look, there's plenty of data. You know, there's lots of people. Just speak to a forgotten Australian. Have a look at what they're doing. There's an organisation called Care Scotland, which is obviously in Scotland. They do a fabulous job because in Scotland, the actual chief minister is actually, I think, I don't know whether they're interested anyway in what happens to kids when they leave care, and their care system for kids goes beyond age 18. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, ours goes to age 20, but it thinks about, you know, they're thinking about kids when they leave care, Avery, have been damaged. Yeah. So why do we let them go?
As I understand it, they turn 18 or whatever age it is, and they're just shown the door. Off you go, fend for yourself.
Yeah, and there are really, in Australia, there are no services for them. There's a lot of organisations like Care Leavers Australia, Forgotten Australians organisations and so on. But these are damaged people. Why are they damaged? I tell you what, they're not all damaged because they had crappy parents. They're damaged because their parent became the state.
Yeah.
That's why they're damaged. And we as a community and our political leaders don't give a damn. This is why the lives of kids do not matter to politicians. They
don't matter because children don't vote.
That's right.
Yeah, which is why we need to be here to give them that voice to try and persuade people to vote for children.
But they don't matter too, Avery, because they don't know how to fix the system.
No.
I'll tell you how big this problem is. There is no country in the world that has been able to effectively confront and meet the child protection system that gives good outcomes to kids. Not one. Now, what does that tell us? Does that tell us that the problem's impossible to solve? No. Before, they discovered penicillin before anybody knew what penicillin was and how effective it was. The Wright brothers taught us how to fly. There's lots of things that have happened in this world that have been done and never done before. So this issue around child protection, why in the hell can't we, as the first country in the world, grapple with it and deal with it properly? Because the thing is, Avery, we're not scientists.
No.
We're not discovering the vaccine for COVID-19.
No.
However, we do understand the problem enough to be able to provide solutions for it.
Yeah.
And it interests me that no one, apart from the people that get onto our Facebook page and our web page, no one gives a rat's ass.
Yeah. I've got to go in a few minutes.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of that, mate. We'll finish up now.
I know you are. No. I was just the other comment that was I wanted to raise that was in here. It's sort of related to what we've been talking about. JJ mentioned a story that was in the media today about the silencing of sexual abuse victims. I think it's Victoria passed legislation to say that once upon a time, if say you were a rape victim, you could go on Channel 9 and tell your story. You could write a book and tell your story and name names and stuff like that. And they've just passed legislation to say now you can't do that. And JJ wanted our opinion on that.
I don't know. Sorry, mate. I was reading Lainey Whelan's response there. I'm just a bit bedazzled. Sorry, just want to briefly tell me again. Sorry, I was distracted.
The legislation in Victoria, it used to be that you could, if you were a victim of sexual abuse, sexual assault, you could tell your story to Channel 9, name names and things like that. You could write a book, appear in a magazine, etc. And they've just passed legislation that says no, you can't. If you were raped when you were 12, you can't write a book about it and tell about your experiences and name names and things like that.
Well, you can't defame people, though.
Well, if you were raped when you were, say, 10, or you were raped when you were 30, doesn't matter, and you name the person who did it, how are you defaming them?
Well, okay, let's say
by committing that rape.
Avery, let's say someone for whatever reason didn't like you, and they said that you molested them when they were 10, and they posted your name everywhere. Do you think that would be fair?
No, but if the accusations were accurate,
but if they're not, that's my question.
Then
we can't go around.
We've got legislation to protect you from libel.
Well, I think, mate, once
libel is the truth.
There's a woman on Facebook page who I will not name, and she goes on. She says the most bizarre things about people you could imagine, and I would think, why? And she's been banned by Facebook, incidentally, for doing that. So you can't. I don't believe that you can. If you've got evidence, take them to court. Tell the police, whatever. Right? There's no statute of limitations over childhood sexual abuse. So let's take them to court and challenge it, right? Or if you've got enough information and we're representing you and we're in Parliament and we believe you, then we could mention it in Parliament under parliamentary privilege. But and this is why the reason why newspapers and media organisations don't run with this stuff anymore is because they don't want to have to pay out millions of dollars to somebody because they've defamed them, you know.
Yeah.
So I can understand it. Look, just that. I don't know who Lainey Whelan is. Incidentally, did you see that? But
I've just seen it now.
I got to email reads that you have no time for us. That DCP have destroyed over 20 years. I will not support a group that doesn't give a rat's about us. And we means I have no idea, Lainey, what you're talking about. None whatsoever. I don't know your name. Don't know who you are.
Not a member either.
All right, so there you go.
I've got the membership list on my right-hand screen.
So, Lainey, this is the issue. Stop complaining. Do something about it. Join us. Join the fight. But don't tell us shit that is just untrue. This annoys me no end. If we've ever done, and there are times, I admit, where we get so busy, I'll say I'm going to call somebody, I'll forget about it, right? And I've done that a few times, and I apologise, right? But when it comes to actually sitting in front of the department and representing your point of view, we do not fail you, ever. And when it comes to designing policies and procedures and the things that we as a political party are supposed to do, we do not fail you. Do we, Avery?
Well, no. I know what Lainey's talking about.
Oh, tell me.
I've just searched my email. She wrote to us and asked for help. And I replied, hello, the Child Protection Party no longer provides support and advocacy services. Instead, the Riley Foundation now provide those services. You can ask for their help by filling out the form here, and I gave her the link to the Riley Foundation.
Right. So has she sent us?
So what Lainey has said there is not strictly correct. She's correct. The Child Protection Party doesn't provide those advocacy services anymore. The reason we stopped is because we found that the political work and the advocacy work was interfering with each other. So we separated the two out. Now, Tony still does advocacy work and Nadia does advocacy work.
But Nadia doesn't do party work anymore either, though.
She doesn't do party work anymore.
Yep.
But I mean, at the time, she was still doing party work. But now the advocacy is held separately, and we've got other people who are not in the former party committee members or anything like that.
But Lainey, the issue. Sorry, Avery, but the issue is that we've got no time for you is crap.
Yeah.
This is not about us not having time for you. It's that as a political party, we now have another organisation, still run by me, that does that representing work. Contact that.
Yeah.
That is not dismissing you. That is telling you what we're now doing that is slightly different. We haven't discarded you. Jesus Christ.
We're doing the same thing, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Instead of it being the party that's doing it, we set up an organisation specifically to provide that sort of service. And if Lady wants to take it up, all she's got to do is go to that link and fill out the form that's on there, and we will send we will appoint an advocate for her who may or may not be able. I don't know.
And the reason why, Avery, we decided to do that was that we were being told not to attend meetings because political parties cannot be a part of some of the sorts of stuff that happens with the Department of Child Protection here in South Australia. Political parties just don't get involved. You don't wind up with Labor and Liberal turning up to meetings and shit. They don't do that. But a foundation can. And that's the
absolutely.
And that's the difference. So it was a sensible reason.
Set up.
All right. Now, Avery's got to go because Sasha wants to use the phone. To Sasha, let her know. Yep.
Or Lainey.
And we'll, what's the name? Lainey. And Lainey, we're looking forward to hearing from you. And as soon as I get your email, I'll give you a call. Best I can do. Or get Sully to probably give you a call, actually. Yeah. Look, thanks everybody for being with us tonight. I've enjoyed my rant as always. I hope it doesn't bore you silly. but it is an opportunity to get stuff off my chest, Avery. It's kind of therapeutic, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is.
so look, thanks everybody. It's been great being with you. Thinking of our people, friends in Victoria. Hope you can keep yourself safe and just make sure that you take care of each other. Take care. Bye.
Bye.